was staring directly at me. I stole a glance while turning my head to see bloodshot eyes staring back at me. Hello, and welcome to all Dente Creepypasta, horror stories cooked to perfection with a splash of red sauce. My name is CZ, and I will be your server this episode. I know it's been a while since the last one, and I am going to try to put these out more often by doing some shorter episodes from time to time. This is a story I wrote called Bus Creep. Let's dig right in. I offered to help my friend move apartments last night. She had rented a U-Haul, so I decided to take the bus to her house so I didn't have to worry about parking. That evening after work, I went to the bus stop near my apartment. The bus was mostly empty. There were maybe 8 to 10 passengers on board. I took one of the sideways seats near the front. Most of the passengers were near the front since there were plenty of open seats. There was one guy sitting in the dark in the back of the bus who I noticed when I first sat down. I didn't think much of it, as you can pretty much count on there being at least one junkie on every bus ride. I usually just try to ignore it, which I did, until I heard the guy get up and walk to the front of the bus. Only, instead of getting off, he stopped right in front of me and sat down in the seat directly across. My first inclination is to not make eye contact, but I didn't have to look him in the eye to realize he was staring directly at me. I stole a glance while turning my head to see bloodshot eyes staring back at me. He had on one of those long rim hats like you'd see on a pilgrim at Thanksgiving, with 2 long black ponytails coming down over the shoulders. He had a short black trench coat and black pants, but his skin was pale and rough looking, like white sandpaper. His messy facial hair almost constituted a beard, but maybe what bothered me most was his clenched teeth. I couldn't tell if he was really excited about something or if the sight of my face made him furious without reason. I decided I wasn't going to wait to find out. I got up and moved seats. He turned his head and continued to stare, so I just got on my phone and tried to block him out. This worked for about 5 minutes until the guy got up again and moved into the seat across the aisle from me. Okay, now this was starting to make me nervous. My stop was coming soon, and I was faced with a predicament. Chances are he wasn't going to follow me off the bus, but if he did, I'd be alone and relatively defenseless. But if I stayed on the bus, I felt like this dude might be on the verge of snapping. After considering for another minute, I decided I'd stand up unexpectedly and walk fast to get off the bus. Hopefully, he'd be left behind if he even attempted to follow. My heart rate increased as we got close to my stop, but I tried to make it look like I'd be settled in for a while. When my stop was called, I waited. Then I hopped up, exited the bus, and fast walked away. I quickly heard the bus door close behind me. I looked back, thinking I'd be alone, but what I saw was the creep standing there as the bus pulled away, his yellowing teeth glowing in the moonlight, that same maddening stare plastered on his face. There was only one thing to do now: speed walk. I wasn't gonna run unless he actually did something threatening. I also gave my friend a call. Hey, I'm here, I lied. Can you meet me at the gate? As I walked, I made an effort not to make it obvious that I kept looking back. I kept up the fast pace. When I got to the first corner, I snuck a look back over my shoulder. The dude was right on me. If anything, he was actually closer than he was before. He was still walking, but breathing heavily to keep up. I picked up my pace. I jaywalked to the next intersection to prevent him from getting any closer, and he followed, nearly getting hit by a car to do so. Now I was getting scared. I moved into a jog. I was basically jogging at this point anyway. I heard his keys jingle behind me, signaling that he too had started running. I saw my friend waiting at the gate ahead of me. I motioned her to go inside. She got it. I ran through the gate and she swung it shut behind me, just before that haunting face came up to the gate and stared through the bars. Not knowing if he'd try to hop the fence, I ushered her inside. After explaining that night's events to this point, I was relieved to find out that the garage is connected to her building, and we wouldn't have to go outside to load the van. There was one point where I thought I saw the man's face again inside the building. The door between the hallway downstairs and the garage is made of glass, and as someone swung it open ahead of us, I could have sworn I'd seen the man from the bus in the reflection, causing me to freeze up in the middle of the hall. However, when we actually looked in the parking garage, it was completely empty. At the time, it was easy to chalk up to my paranoia, just me jumping at shadows. But what happened later that night has sort of thrown that into question. It took a couple of hours to fill up the U-Haul, and by the time we pulled out, it was getting pretty late. I sat in the front passenger seat as she drove. She used her clicker to open the sliding iron gate. No sign of anyone on the street. As we pulled out, I looked left and right down the sidewalk. Thankfully, the street seemed empty. Perhaps the guy had gone home. The rest of the night went pretty smoothly. We unloaded the boxes at her new place, celebrated the completion of the move with a glass of wine, and I was on my way. My friend offered me a ride home. I wanted to take it, but knowing that they charge by the mile for U-Hauls and knowing that we were nowhere near where the incident with the bus creep had taken place, I opted to take the bus again. We were actually closer to where I live now, so I didn't mind, and so I was on my way. I'll admit, the idea of that man's stare hadn't left my mind as I walked alone to the bus stop, but logically, I didn't expect to see anything, and I didn't run into anyone on the way to the bus stop. When I boarded the bus, I made sure there were no shady-looking characters hiding in the back, and once again, took one of the sideways-facing seats near the front. That's when maybe the most haunting part of any of this became a reality. Looking out the window, I saw the same man from before staring at me from beside the bus, standing right at the bus stop where I'd been standing moments before. I have no idea how he could have tracked me from her old apartment to her new apartment and now to the bus stop, miles away from where this all started. It seemed like slow motion while the bus driver closed the doors and the man made no attempt to board, his trench coat blowing in the wind as he stared me all the way out of sight. That was the last time I saw the bus creep in person. Since then, I've woken up 3 times tonight. Each time, his face was piercing into my nightmares. I don't think I'll be taking the bus tomorrow. Thanks for listening to all Dente Creepypasta. Your total today comes out to $1.75, but if you like this video right now, I'll waive that fee and give you everything you just listened to absolutely free. Remember to subscribe to CZsWorld for new horrors every week, ring that death bell for notifications, and I'll see you in the next one. Assuming we both survive.